And I saw this morning where one of them is pretty well known, one is arguing, fighting like crazy over men being able to play in women's sports. I said, I thought that was tried. I thought that was about a 95%, I think it's a 95% issue. But in a way, I want them to keep doing it because I don't think they can win a race. And I tell the Republicans, I said, don't bring that subject up because there's no election right now. But about a week before the election, bring it up because you can't lose.
Donald Trump's fear of appearing weak is glaringly obvious, and it manifests in the most bizarre power plays imaginable. Just look at his recent meltdown with Maine Governor Janet Mills. The man can't handle being challenged, especially by a woman who calmly responded, "See you in court," to his bullying tactics. His go-to strategy? Threaten to withhold federal funding, the money that actually helps American citizens. It's like watching a toddler who didn't get his way, except this toddler controls nuclear codes. His obsession with transgender athletes is nothing but a desperate attempt to distract from his failed promises. The economy? Tanking? His mass deportation plan? A moral and legal disaster. So what does he do? He picks on vulnerable kids who just want to play sports with their friends. Classic Trump. When you can't deliver on your promises, find someone weaker to bully. If you enjoyed watching the video, would you like to support us by leaving a like and subscribing?
We need people in the country, but they have to come in legally. 2 weeks ago, I signed an executive order banning men from playing in women's sports. Many Democrats are fighting me on that. I hope you continue because you'll never win another race. And it's just crazy. If you look at what happened with the boxing, if you look at what happened with the weightlifting numbers, where a record that hadn't been broken for 19 years got shattered. But, they put up an eighth of an ounce here, an eighth of an ounce there, and it's 218 pounds or whatever, a lot. And hadn't been broken in 19 years. And then a guy walks up who transitioned. He transitioned, and he knocked out that record by about 100 pounds. That will be a record not going to be broken again in a long. So we put a ban on it, and to protect women. I mean, the women, if you watch the Olympics, you had two transitioned people that were fighting in the women's boxing. They have women's boxing category. And if you saw that, it was brutal.
This "we are the federal law" nonsense is exactly why Trump is so dangerous to American democracy. The man genuinely believes he is the government, like some kind of orange-tinted Louis XIV declaring "L'État, c'est moi." He doesn't understand, or more likely doesn't care about, the basic concept of checks and balances that's fundamental to our system. Even more disturbing is how he's now demanding a full-throated apology from Governor Mills after Maine has already complied with his directive. It's never enough for Trump. Give him an inch, and he'll demand a mile, then threaten you for not giving him 10. This is precisely why Democrats can't bend the knee, as the commentator rightfully points out. Chuck Schumer tried that approach, and what happened? Trump mocked him publicly. The lesson is crystal clear. Appeasement doesn't work with bullies. It only emboldens them. Trump doesn't want cooperation. He wants submission.
What happened to the Italian woman was a really good boxer. After one punch, she said, no more. I've never been hit. It was a left. It was not even it was just a left jab. She got hit so hard, she said, I can't do it. They forced her to go out. No, go out again. You'll do it. Goes out again, gets hit again. No, that's it. She didn't want to die, and it's crazy, but the NCAA has complied immediately, by the way. That's good. But I understand Maine. Is Maine here, the governor of Maine? Well, are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
Well, we are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state, good, I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor because I don't think you'll be in elected politics. Every state has a responsibility to comply with Title IX. They have an obligation, a legal obligation. and we'll be enforcing aggressively, and we're going to be protecting our citizens. We're going to protect. So just to end...
The way Trump weaponizes transgender issues isn't just cruel, it's calculatingly cynical. We're talking about roughly 1% of the population, kids who just want to live their lives, yet he's turned them into political pawns to energize his base. Why? Because it's easier than explaining why he hasn't delivered on health care, why the economy isn't working for average Americans, or why corruption runs rampant in his administration. AOC nailed it when she called this what it is, a distraction tactic. Trump knows that if he can get Americans fighting about culture war issues, they might not notice how his policies are actually hurting them economically. It's divide and conquer 101, and sadly, it often works. But maybe this time people are catching on. The question is whether enough Americans will see through this transparent strategy before more vulnerable communities are harmed in the process.
And they will throw out every label and judgment and cultural debate in the book to keep us distracted, folks. This is what the focus on trans kids is all about. Come on, 1% of the entire population. If people want to have conversations about that, take it to the NCAA. It doesn't need to be on the floor of the United States Congress. We need to be taxing the rich on the floor of the United States Congress. We need to be establishing guaranteed health care on the floor of the United States Congress, not erasing American history on the floor of the United States Congress. We need to be passing a living wage on the floor of the United States Congress.
And see, this is why things don't work for ordinary people. It's not because of trans kids or woke college students. It's not because of our new arch enemy, Canada. The corruption is why you pay a fortune for prescriptions. The corruption is why your insurance claim keeps getting denied. The corruption is why hedge funds get to buy up all the houses in your neighborhood and Congress doesn't do anything about it.
Trump's entire political identity revolves around creating enemies and fostering conflict. It's literally his only playbook. He tried it with immigrants, with Antifa, with China, and now with transgender youth. Notice how he always needs someone to vilify? He can't govern through achievement because, well, he doesn't have any real achievements to speak of. Instead, he governs through fear and division. And when he's confronted, like he was by Governor Mills, he immediately resorts to threats and intimidation. You better comply is the language of dictators, not democratically elected leaders. His demand for a full-throated apology isn't about policy. It's about humiliation. He needs to publicly break those who stand against him to reinforce his image of strength. But here's the thing. Truly strong leaders don't need to demand respect or threaten punishment. They earn respect through their actions and integrity, qualities Trump has never possessed.
I understand that their disdain for working people by some of the most powerful people in this country doesn't just come from not being raised right, okay? This disdain is shorthand for the right's entire political agenda and a certain ugly kind of politics in this country. And that is lying to and screwing over working and middle-class Americans so that they can steal our health care, Social Security, and veterans benefits in order to pay for their tax cuts for the billionaires and bailouts for their crypto friends. And you know what, Arizona? There's a certain kind of word for this kind of thing. Corruption. And I understand what it feels like to watch all of this stack up. From how overwhelming and brazen all this selfishness selfishnesses, the constant headlines and notifications, dismantling the Department of Education, trying to end birthright citizenship, the things that make us American. I understand how overwhelming it can feel, and it can make even the best of us want to give in to despair, to feel tired, to feel like there's not much worth fighting for. Because when the system is stacked against you, it's hard to feel like anything you do matters. It's hard to feel like we matter in this democracy. And it is easy to give in to the despair. And I can tell you, I know that when I was waitressing and struggling to put food on the table, for a while there, I did. I tried to stop caring. I tried to just keep my head down, work my shifts, and accept that this is just how things are. But that is no way to live, Arizona. It's no way to.
What's perhaps most infuriating about this whole charade is how it distracts from real issues affecting Americans. While Trump is busy demanding apologies and threatening governors over transgender athletes, people are struggling to afford health care, housing prices are skyrocketing, and corporate corruption continues unchecked. As the commentator in the video points out, it's not woke college students or transgender kids causing these problems. It's systemic corruption that benefits the wealthy at the expense of everyone else. Trump's obsession with culture war issues is the greatest sleight-of-hand trick in modern politics. Look over here at this manufactured outrage while we pick your pocket over there. Democrats need to refocus the conversation on the economic betrayals of the Trump administration. They need to loudly and repeatedly point out how his policies have failed working Americans while benefiting billionaires and corporations. Otherwise, we'll keep getting distracted by the latest outrageous statement while the real damage continues behind the scenes. Have you subscribed to our channel for more content? If not, now is the time.